Hello and welcome to Artist Focus, the series where we talk to artists and facilitators at Accidental Theatre. This week we're going to be talking to Hattie Godfrey, who is the co-founder of Figure This Life Drawing. Hi Hattie. I
Wait,
can't
yeah,
hear
hi.
Hattie. Oh,
Yeah,
there we go. Hello.
there we
Hi
go.
Hattie,
Sorry.
how's it going?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, considering. Yeah, I'm all good.
Yeah, how did the exams go, if we can talk about that?
Yeah, no, it was really strange actually. My first quarantine exam yesterday, and it's like 24 hours long. That's how they've decided to get around it. They're like, okay, well, it's got to be open book, but we'll make you do something. It's like doing a marathon exam. Very strange.
I would find that really odd because I would just walk off like half an hour in after the initial stress and probably forget about it.
Yeah, in the afternoon, I went downstairs and found that my boyfriend and his family were outside having beers, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not fair. This is not exam conditions. Everyone
um,
should be in pain.
and we should point out that your boyfriend is Tommy Brunt, who we will shame for not supporting you. Tommy Brunt, building manager, you have been shamed live on television. Started?
Yeah, so I studied art I went and did my foundation at Central St Martin's, and then I went on to Goldsmiths in London, and then was practicing as an artist for a year or so after my graduation, mainly based in performance work and also writing. When I was working, like basically just as an artist, that most of my work was based around psychology and about thinking, behavior, and feelings, etc. All those great things. And so I just kept returning to psychology and kind of to support my art practice. So that's kind of what brought me to Belfast because I study at Queen's. Um, so yeah, I kind of have a very interdisciplinary whole life, really, like lots of things meeting each other, uh,
I
which I
think
really
that
enjoy.
they find that they'll maybe start with one thing and then they'll find another thing and that they kind of inform each other. So it sounds what you've been doing. Um,
Yeah, I find that most of the time when I was studying art, it's almost like everyone who was on my course was actually doing a different subject because whilst we were all doing art like proportions and stuff, are basically studying the laws of physics. Then other people they know more about philosophy than someone who's studying philosophy. You kind of all have your own little specialist areas. So it kind of makes sense after that to kind of pursue that alongside your work.
um, so how for you does psychology? What's the psychology of life drawing for you? If sorry to ask a really deep question straight
It's
off the
fine, don't
bat.
worry. Well, for me, and I'm really enjoying the kind of multidisciplinary practice that I've got. But beforehand, I definitely saw life drawing as separate from my performance practice, as separate from my interest in psychology, and off as something I was doing during my A levels because I love drawing generally, and also really interested in the body. And then moved on to life modeling just to support myself whilst I was studying and things. Classes like it has such an incredibly powerful effect um, for people, both modeling and also drawing. Their relationships with their bodies seem to really change and become a lot against them, which is kind of not something that you get from a lot of kind of cultural sources at the moment. A lot of stuff kind of seems to
Hmm.
and but there's also some really amazing benefits psychologically that life drawing has in that it's really part of these other kind of it's that exact really good combination of focus and relaxing. So you're not asleep, but you're also not doing something that is incredibly and keeping them kind of in tune with each other.
Hmm. And I mean, like, I suppose a lot of people really enjoy that kind of middle ground of flow and relaxation. Like, it's a really, I've only ever done the online class, but I'm really looking forward to doing the physical class whenever it's about drawing. There is this really powerful ethos of positivity and acceptance. Um, do you think that, I mean, it must have been hard whenever the lockdown hit to like go from um, such a strong, like you really, like you've only arrived. When did Figure This start at Accidental?
So it started in September, which was when I arrived in Belfast. So it's exactly this, but with our class, as with everything that was kind of going on in the arts, it was very touch and go for a few weeks. You really didn't know what you were allowed to do, what you should do, what you shouldn't
Mm.
do. You wanted to continue to support us. Where our last class in person, everyone was saying, "Is this going to go ahead? Is it not going to go ahead? What happens next week?" kind of thing. And we literally didn't know what to kind of say to them. But luckily, we with this kind of situation, I was not expecting to be doing it like this. But I was really thinking, again, like in my psychology studies, I was learning a lot about chronic illness and about it mean that you're not able to get out and about or go to things like life drawing classes and things like. So they made me like the world is getting a lot better at making essential services accessible. But then these things that are actual. So I was already kind of thinking of a form of online class that we could bring to people at home who maybe even people who don't have some sort of a condition, but actually maybe have childcare duties, all this kind of stuff. Actually, a lot of these different scenarios. Just wanted to do this, but I never could because of this, and we never kind of thought of all those different situations that were stopping people from doing classes. But I kept saying, and then in the space of about 3 days, we said, okay, well, we need to do it now. So we kind of it wasn't how we thought it would pan out, but we had been thinking about it, and I really hope actually that even as the lockdown lifts out for people, because there are people who already were stuck in their houses, and
Mm.
they didn't have all these things available to them, and then suddenly we all need it, and so we're going, oh my god, I need the National Theatre to be providing me as life is. Um,
We heard from the Imagine Festival as well. Like they had the same situation where people were messaging in saying, "I never would have gone to this because it was physically difficult for me to get there, or I have kids to look after," and it's just something that a lot of people overlooked. And I think for a long time, Accidental, we've wanted to do more kind of live streaming stuff and like reach people not just in the building itself but at home. But it's the kind of thing, like you're saying, you kind of experiment and take risks, um,
mm.
but then you find, like like you said, there's definitely elements of this kind of online streaming that we would definitely like to take forward, like once the lockdown eases, even as we have like regular shows in the theater again. But it's not always easy. But it seems like your community has responded really well to the online classes, and they've done really really well.
I think having that combination, the reason why actually our live streaming, I think, has gone really well and the community has responded really well to it, is that in the first class we did, all of our regulars were there and they were actually really supportive about like any tech. And so, but because we had that pre-existing community, we were kind of saying, I'm so sorry about this. By the way, it'll be all sorted in 15 minutes, and da, 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 da. And they're like, it's okay, don't worry, calm down. Like we're here
Yeah.
for you. Community and also the virtual community, which I hope stays strong afterwards. It's what's been really lovely, is seeing the power of our community since the lockdown. They all have like their own chats and all the things that they're getting up to, and having created, I know that there are quite a few people who come to our class who have suffered like in the past with quite bad social anxiety, things like that, and to have brought get a ticket, really,
Yeah.
that's what you want.
Yeah, it's really heartening to see that it's not just a case of people keeping things together until they can like go back to normal. It's people actually still building these communities and still engaging with each other,
Mm.
even whenever they can't leave their homes. So you, it's actually really, because I know at all, like, do you miss at all the the physical presence of having models and artists in rooms?
Absolutely. It was like it was very hard to work out exactly how we wanted to do these online clubs, try and recreate them. I mean, my favorite part of the whole class is always at the end of the class when and by the way, if you are thinking about ever coming to a class in the future, you don't have to do this, but a lot of people really enjoy doing it. They put lots of the same subject matter with the same materials, etc., but everyone is taking a different approach, and people really like bond over that and learn from that. And I really miss that moment. But luckily, I mean, we have people sharing all their art online, which is lovely. So we still kind of get that. We get to see each other's work. It's not like we're all sort of sitting in these boxes alone and we aren't sharing what's going on. And there have been some really amazing added bonuses to this because it's introduced, some people who were going to classes are in houses with their families or their flatmates or whatever, and their flatmates or whoever who would have never come to a class are looking and saying, "Oh, what's this? Actually, like that looks quite fun. That looks quite interesting." So they're getting involved with it. So we're getting a lot more people interested in what is often thought of as quite a kind of novel or kind of maybe a bit silly thing, but is actually, or actually it's kind of always considered as one thing or the other. It's considered as a sort of hen party novelty, or it's
Yeah.
considered as a sort of like, you have to be an incredible artist with a knowledge of the anatomy, and everyone's got to be quiet, and you've got to have the best materials and stuff. And with Figure This, it was really important that it was neither of those things. Like, it's about creating a space for you to make what you want to make, at whatever point you are in your own like artistic journey. I've probably completely stopped answering the question.
No, it's fine. I've actually forgotten what the question is, so we're all good.
I think it's
Um,
something to do with it is, oh yeah, I do really miss communicating with the models. Oh, not communicating, I mean spending time and getting to know the models, which is why I was quite grateful that the way we've done it is that we've pre-recorded our classes. And so actually I did get to spend a whole day, I mean socially distanced day with the models. So I was there during that process, which is quite nice because I know that other places are doing ones where the model kind of does a live stream where they call in on, they're doing like Zoom and things like that, which I think is great. There's like so many different ways to try and deliver life drawing classes to people. But I am quite happy that I was able to spend that time with the models. So I feel like I really understood what they were doing and how they were feeling and things. Because I spent so long life modeling before I started teaching, the life model is probably the most important person or like part of the whole experience for me. Like, it's so important that even if they're experienced or not experienced, that they are as comfortable as they can be. They are warm. They are working again like with their bodies, not against their bodies. They don't feel like they have to do something that maybe their body isn't quite as comfortable with. Yeah, I miss spending time with the models, because I always feel like I build a very strong connection with them. We often have people who haven't modeled before, but who have thought about it for a long time. And so I actually quite often will feel like, especially if if I teach that week as well, that I've been like quite, I've been part of quite an important experience for them. We had a model who had struggled with body image in the past and eating disorders, and basically was saying how like the life modeling experience had helped her reclaim her body and felt empowered. And I mean, that's just like, yeah, I really miss those kind of moments because you really feel like you're part of somebody's journey.
I think like well, you guys have actually been giving all of your profits. Like, it's obvious you care very much about the artists and the models, and you've actually been giving profits to the Bread and Butter Fund set up by Fionnuala Kennedy and Abby Spallon. Is that right?
Yeah. It was really, again, another hard choice that we had to make in about 48 hours was, okay, like, do we charge for these classes? How does that work? It was confusing because at that point, a lot of the big arts companies were providing things for free, which is brilliant, but like, we're not a big arts company. And models, we were kind of talking to the models that we work with who were saying, oh, if you're going to do something online, I don't mind modeling like for free, obviously. And I was feeling quite uncomfortable with it, like as an artist and also like as a life model as well. I've been kind of persuaded or done quite a lot of free work in the past. I mean, you do so much artwork for free, and I'm not on board with that anymore. It's been too long that, I mean, artists need to be paid because they need to feed themselves, as the bread and butter fund kind of suggests.
Yeah.
And also life models as well. Like most of the life models that we work with lost all their work in a space of 2 or 3 days. Most of the time, if you're a life model, you'll be freelance. Quite often not registered or in the process of registering as self-employed. It's kind of like a bit touch and go depending on how much life modeling you do. So a lot of people lost their entire income. So it's really important to us that we're able to continue to support life models through these classes. And actually, I think, in my experience as a life model, I thought that putting yourself out there in an online class is actually like an increased form of kind of you making yourself maybe more vulnerable than you do at a normal class. So we actually decided to pay the models slightly more as well. So we increased their pay to as much as we could. So we did that, and then we decided to give any of the profits to the bread and butter fund, so that we can continue to support artists, because a lot of artists have lost any form
Yeah.
of work for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, like I know a few people, like, and in the space of like a few days, like weeks and months of work they had lined up was just like gone like that. Like it just disappeared. And I think like it's a very powerful and very generous gesture. So I don't like I'm thank you on behalf of the people, I guess. But I think hopefully people, you know, human memory is short, but hopefully like the amount of art that people are absorbing right now, whether it's like video games or books or films or even like theater, I hope people remember, when this is all over, that arts aren't kind of, it's like you said earlier, it's not like a trivial thing. It's a very meaningful thing if people are willing to engage with it. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll see people investing more in the arts and in figure this whenever this is over.
Yeah. No, we were really excited actually, because we did feel just before this came, we did feel like we were kind of we were about to kind of create some new I'm trying to think what exactly what I'm trying to say, kind of branch out a little bit, and we were really excited about the direction that things were going in. At the beginning, I just really wanted to create a life drawing class, and then as I kind of mentioned, touched upon, like it was helping so many people in different ways in their own like respective journeys. And we were kind of thinking of maybe like doing podcasts with life models and all these different things, and before this started, so we were kind of all like geared up for going forward. But I mean, these things happen. So we've got a lot in the pipeline, I think, for when things do go back to the new normal, hopefully, that is coming.
No, that's great. I mean, like it seems like, the future's great, but you've adapted really, really well for right now, and I think like it seems like figure this keeps going from strength to strength. Certainly at Accidental, it's definitely like we're really proud to have you, because it's such like it's even in terms of its ethos and everything we've talked about today, it's just a really powerful thing to just give people a space and some gentle teaching to kind of prompt them to be creative and not really worry about the outcome. That's something I've always really liked about figure this. If people want to get
It's really that was sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I mean that's just such an important part of it, for us as well. The kind of no judgment, only encouragement. Because I mean, people are just so hard on themselves. It's unbelievable. I mean, I find myself slipping into that kind of those frames of mind as well, and I see it in people in life drawing classes. Before we started doing these life drawing classes, when I was life modeling and stuff, people not enjoying this. And I'm thinking, oh, why are you doing it if you kind of putting all this negative energy towards yourself? Be proud of whatever you have done. And I always kind of say in the classes as well that like not every drawing can be a masterpiece. Just like not every day can be the best day of your life, It's about kind of appreciating these little moments in your drawings, these little moments in your day, and not living in the kind of what if, I've got to do the best. I've got to, just.
No, it's like I'm really, really looking forward to giving it a go, and like producing probably terrible drawings, but with the caveat that it won't matter and it'll be really good crack. If people want to get involved with the
And
next
what is a
online
terrible
class,
drawing as well?
what's that?
Oh, I was just saying, like, I also sometimes I find myself saying, like, oh, and it doesn't matter if it's a bad drawing or whatever. And then I think, like, actually, what is a bad drawing? You know, like, actually, so I think some of my favorite drawings are, quote, bad drawings, you know? So,
If people want to get involved, Hattie, with the next online class, how do they? Well, it's this Friday, isn't it? Am I right?
yes. So the
Yes.
next class is on Friday. It's 7 till 9 with a little 10-minute break in the middle as well. Basically, you get your ticket through Eventbrite. All the links are on our socials, so on our Facebook, on our Instagram. And you get your ticket, and then you get sent a link to the live stream. And in that live stream, you'll also have a nice little chat, which has quite a few of the like regular people, but also new people. In our last one, we had people who were watching the live stream from Italy, Spain, the US, Israel. So there's people from everywhere making art together. Uh, and you just get whatever materials you have. You really don't need anything that impressive or advanced. Even just like a pencil and some scrap paper is absolutely fine. My dad's been doing like some really mad drawings with like biro on pieces of kitchen towel. Like it doesn't matter what you have. And then yeah, get whoever in your household is willing to look at naked bodies for 2 hours and sit there and have a good Friday night.
Um, yeah, I'm sure at this point in lockdown, there's plenty of people trapped in their houses willing to look at naked bodies. And if you're one of those people watching at home, you can join in Figure This on Friday, 7 to 9, wasn't it, Hattie?
Yeah, it's 7 till 9. I think it stops. It ends a little before 9, or it might be 9, depending on whether. No, I'm joking. I'm just remembering about the YouTube thing. It was till
It
9 on
won't
the
happen this
YouTube
time.
day. No, it won't. We've got everything sorted now, and yeah.
Yeah, it's really, for anyone watching, it is really good crack. I did it about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, and it was really good fun. Hattie, before we go, can I ask what the first thing you're going to do whenever the lockdown eases?
It's hard not to say have a pint, isn't it?
Yes.
Because the word pint has become like banned in our house because it brings too much emotion.
Just cut to Tommy
Um,
weeping on the
I
kitchen
mean, I'd
floor.
love to. Yeah, I know. I'd love to say that, like, I'll probably be publishing all the novels that I've written in the lockdown, but
Yeah,
no, I won't be. I will probably have a really lovely pint, and hopefully the sun will still be shining when we first get out. So it'll be in the sun, in the
hopefully.
Northern Irish sun.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. Um, that's great, Hattie. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you very much.
So again, Figure This Friday from 7 to 9. Uh, that's us on Artist Focus for this week. But join us next week where we'll be speaking to another artist at Accidental about what they've been up to in lockdown and their plans for the future. Thank you very much.